This is by a beautiful, cute little game by GB Patch. The Kickstarter is on right now. You can go find it there. You can find links on there like Twitter and stuff. But yeah, we're gonna dive right back in. Nope, I do not want to. Whoops. I'm clicking the wrong buttons. How do I get out of here? Help. Oh, no. Okay, load. There we go. Yes, I do want to load. Okay, hee little hiccup. Ignore that. All right, let me adjust my screen. Okay, this was just very last minute. Okay, hi, hello. All right, so we are back. We just finished our first day of class in our adorable little classroom. It is so sweet. Look at the little like, oh, A for apple, B for bird, C for cake, D for dog, E for egg, F for flower, G for grape. Very cute, very cute, very nostalgic. I hear meowing. Not in the game. Hey, come here. The cat is here. we might get kitty appearance. From the teeny bit you check behind you. The door was open a crack and a person peeked through. From the teeny bit you see, the person was a kid or maybe a short grown-up. They were only half as tall as the door they were hiding behind. It definitely wasn't your mom coming to get you. Mrs. Murray was still flipping through a million papers, but she called out from her desk. It's okay, you can come in, class is over. Then the door got shoved all the way open and bumped into the wall. After trying not to get noticed, being called out that way made whoever it was confident. No. So adorable. They stood in the doorway and put their hands on their hips. The hair on their head was a helmet of sunshine, orange, shining, and flaming out in rays everywhere. The person walked right in without looking at what they were seeing. It wasn't the way you or Tamara come to class, it was the way Chiu had. The way someone who had been there before had. But this wasn't their classroom. None of the students you saw the whole day were this person. In a new school, in a whole new town, you would have been more amazed if it was someone you did know. Even though that was true, you almost thought you had met the stranger. The kid's soft brown eyes itched at your brain. You were sure you'd seen those exact kind of eyes somewhere else. It was especially hard to figure out when their gaze wasn't aimed at you, it had gone to the front where the teacher was. Oh, you remembered. Seeing the new kid and Mrs. Murray made you think of the matching card games you had to play in school when you were little. You just won by flipping over 4 identical chestnuts. The person with eyes like Mrs. Murray ran to her past the counting carpet and behind the desk. They threw their arms around her legs, squeezing her knees together. Oh. Your teacher gently brushed the sunbeam strands and tilted their head back to smile up at Mrs. Murray with a toothy grin. Hi. Hello, Sir 7th grade. Did you have a good first day? Darren! Sir 7th grade, or Darren, or both, gasped and let go before smiling even wider. Chiu? He darted out from the desk just like that. Mrs. Murray watched him go, rubbing at the spot on her pants that got squished. She was for sure his mom. Not only because they hugged her because of their eyes, Mrs. Murray wouldn't let a normal student get away with not answering her questions. And you were right. My mom is your teacher? Darren's voice came out bright and loud with a big laugh, though the sound was kind of crackly too. He had so much to express in the world, the words could barely keep it all together. Chiu's own sparkling giggles joined in. He opened his arms all the way out, not holding anything back. I know! When Darren crossed the room, he stuck his own hands straight ahead, palm up. Chiu flipped his arm down and over to land a low 5 smack. It was a powerful hit, but they were both protected by gloves. Chiu shrugged again, not feeling the sting. This year is going to be tough. Boys, inside voices please. And personally, I'd say my lessons are fair. Right. Yeah. Sorry, Mrs. Murray. Sorry, Mom. Darren lifted his fuzzy black earmuffs off his head, using hands covered in fuzzy black gloves. He was in this classroom to stay, and he will be able to hear quieter words better without that too. For the first time, Darren noticed there were 2 more people in the room. That made his smile flatten. You'd figured you'd seen new kids today. Darren didn't think about that. He tried to figure out what to do or think or feel now that it happened. Tamarack skipped saying who she was so she could jump right into Darren's face on her tiptoes. As far as kids read, Darren was as tall as Tamarack was short. Mom? You said she's your mom? A teacher is your mom? It didn't matter that Chiu talked about Mrs. Murray having kids before you got there, or that a lot had happened to show that Darren was definitely her son. Having the kid of a teacher in front of her was too unbelievable for Tamarack. And that made Darren decide what to think about this meeting, that he didn't like it at all. His face soured. He backed away from Tamarack without thinking, like a giant fluffy bumblebee was coming to get him. Oh, she kind of is. Tamarack didn't let him get far. Let him get far from her. We'll see. Seem kind of shy. Or some. I don't know. I think Cassie would kind of understand. I will say, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what Cassie would say. We're getting back into it. I think that Darren had to be shy. Tamarack shouldn't force him. He'd probably be able to answer if she didn't try to push it. Don't follow Darren like that. Chio was totally serious with the idea. It wasn't a rule, it was a law. Tamarack listened to it better than if it came from an actual teacher. Oh. Tamarack deflated to sound like normal again and stopped scurrying towards Darren. He still didn't stop staring at her. Darren was too afraid of what she might do next to look away. The whole thing made Chio sigh. It was an accident, though, because he sucked in another breath super fast after. Then he smiled again like it never happened. Oh, hey, everyone's got to meet each other for real now. We do? Yeah, we do. He used his own tiptoes and smoothly twirled around to shift from Tamarack's side to Darren's. This is Mr. Derry Murray. Chio hooked an arm around Darren's stiff shoulders. The warm embrace got Darren all soft. He melted over Autumn and their heads bumped together. Those two were as close as could be. He's my friend. And he's 12, 2 years older than us. Autumn proudly put a peace sign that probably just meant 2. Remember that road right out from our cul-de-sac? Darren lives there. His house is the yellow one with the dark brown fence. We're almost neighbors. That's how we know each other. Yeah, the big hill. I know that. You passed a lot of homes on your way to school. You guessed people had lived in them, but you always figured you would meet a person before seeing where they lived. It was kind of weird thinking you'd gone back his place before you even know who Mr. Darren Murray was. Chio tilted his face so he's nose to nose with the boy down the street. That's what I've got to tell you. These are my new neighbors. What? Both of them? I thought only one kid was coming. The poor boy was more confused than ever. Tamarack had shocked people even when she didn't try to. Chio came to the rescue. His arm slid off Darren's shoulders to pat him soothingly on the back and said, both of them. Autumn used his other hand to nudge a finger towards the girl of many surprises. That one is Miss Tamarack Bowman. Granny is her actual grandma. She lives in the gray house now. It was easy for Chio to explain what happened now. If Darren had been yesterday, he would have seen Chio's flurry when he found out Tamarack was there. Is that what you had to do to sound smart? Act like you always knew something to people who couldn't tell the difference? Maybe it was just a Chio thing. It did work for him. Darren listened to his friend's wisdom, amazed. And that, like a tiny showman in front of an audience with only one person in it, Chio uncurled his fingers and held his open palm out towards you. Is Miss Cassie Lily? They are sometimes a girl. They are the one who moved into that empty middle house with their mom. We all met yesterday. In the real world, Darren had to look down to see Chio. It was plain fact. He would have to look down at every kid in your grade, except you. But in the shine of his dipped eyes, you could be tricked into thinking Darren was looking up at Autumn. That's how much the older boy admired the younger one. The light went away when Darren glanced over to the other two people Chio had introduced. Although there was uncomfortable skepticism. Yeah, I think that we will say, nice to meet you. You were pretty sure there was something weird about what you did, but Darren squinched his face at the attention. Hi. Chio chuckled at that, playfully shoving his pal in the chest. Tamara flapped a hand in a fast wave. It beat like the buzzing wings of a bee. She kept being like that around Darren, but you didn't think it was on purpose. Hi, Darren. His features stayed squished. The awkward way Darren was with people still didn't get Tamarack to back off or even slow down. She had thoughts that needed to be said. You're both wearing orange sweaters. Oh. Tamarack stopped her fluttering by clasping her hands together over this important revelation. Darren curled his fingers too, gripping tightly around the earmuffs he was holding. She hadn't said it teasingly, or even the silly kind of teasing Chio did, and he was bothered by it for some reason. Yeah, we both like orange. It was a short answer and a very serious one. The whole time Darren hadn't said one word in response to Tamarack, though. Not when she asked about his mom or said hi. Talking about same color clothes, though, couldn't be ignored. Orange is good. One of the top colors. Chio cut into whatever was going on, nodding wisely. But you know what my favorite color is? How would I know that? Because I think it's pretty obvious. For the second time, he gestured over to you, but not just any part of you. Autumn pointed towards your clothes. It's golden. That's the best color there is. Oh. That is very cute. Good thing he said so. Knowing your friend's favorite color was important. Could you even call yourself a friend if you didn't know the answer to what's their favorite color? Ooh. My favorite colors are purple, pink, red, yellow, and orange. She's so cute. That's a lot of favorites. That's probably what half the colors are, but alright. Wait, and also every color Cassie likes is my favorite too. That's so cute. That was very cute. Yes. Tamarack was so sweet, she'd appreciate you no matter what. Compared to Tamarack's shoutings, Darren's response was a peep. He didn't still want to talk to her, but Mr. Understanding about color ranking couldn't be made either. Red is my real favorite. Orange still is cool. At that point, everyone talked about the colors they liked except for you. I think, I don't know. I think I like, what would Cassie say? I like all colors. Or no, should we pick a favorite? I want to pick a favorite because it might come back later. I don't know. Yeah, we'll just be reasonable. I've got a favorite color too. Yeah, that's it. Oh, there's so many pretty ones. Oh, cranberry. That's cute. What's Cassie's favorite color? I think Cassie likes. Oh, cranberry's cute because Mama's cranberry. I think bronze is cute. Here's a little anecdote. When I was a child, my favorite color was beige, which is a hilarious. So why isn't beige on the list? I need to be represented of being the little weirdo child whose favorite color is beige. But listen, it's a pretty color and it's unappreciated, all right? It's a beautiful color. It goes with a lot of different things. It's a gorgeous neutral. And also, no one else has that as their favorite color. And mine wasn't about like, oh, I'm so unique or whatever. I just felt bad for it. I felt like it was underappreciated and I wanted someone to hype it up. So yeah, my favorite color is beige. That'll be, yes, a support to the Kickstarter, add your favorite color. Please, add beige. So we'll do bronze. Bronze feels like the equivalent to that, because it's kind of, funny. Too. Oh, bronze? I expect that. Alright. Chio took his trusty notebook out of his pocket. A pencil came with it. He flicked the pages open and began to scribble right there in the middle of the room during conversation with people. Why are you doing that? School is over. I'm writing down your favorite colors. I want to remember that. They're so sweet. Hi. Hello. Yeah, hi. You want up? Yeah, that's, sorry, cat interruption. She's eating cords. Come here. Come here, be a good girl. Alright. The question was answered and it completely confused her. It's you that she didn't get it. Tamarack didn't write stuff down even when class was happening. Okay. A yelp cut out her own planned reaction. Confused by normal things and confusing to normal people, that was Tamarack. You are using your other hand. The left one? Yep, that's my good hand. Wow. Cassie has 2 good hands. What? Awesome. Tamarack ran out of words to blurt out, and Darren didn't want anything to do anything on his own, and not with you either. It had to be Chio. So the 3 of you waited there as the scritchy scratch of Chio's writing went on. The more letters Chio added to his notebook, the more his friends shifted uncomfortably. Hey, Autumn, you're coming to my house today, right? Yeah, I am. It was the 3rd quick and direct answer Chio gave while busy with his tasks, but it had a big impact on Darren. He smiled relieved. The promise made up for all the stuff Darren hadn't enjoyed since he walked into the classroom and had 2 new people had become a little part of his life. Making a long dash across the paper, probably to underline something, Chio finished off his note to himself and his reply to Darren. Now that Cass and Tamarack are here, I've got to make sure they get to the neighborhood, but I can do that and go to your house. The worn brown book and pencil was tucked into Chio's pocket. He didn't watch what he was doing. You did, and this time no papers fell out. It's not just going to be me and Darren, you know. One more is coming, too. We've got plans, and it's been worked out for weeks that we get together after the first day of school. For a kid, Chio sure made himself busy all the time. And because of that, Darren, can you go get the guy? He's got to be standing around outside not knowing where to go. You can bring him right into the room. Darren sunk his neck deeper into the tall collar that surrounded him, trying not to be called on in class after it was already too late. I don't wanna. His voice had gotten even more raspy when he spoke then. Every bit of Darren protested the idea. Oh, come on, you're the fastest out of everybody. Chio, on the other hand, was bold and brave. He sincerely sung Darren's praises to encourage his friend, though more quietly added a verse of his own success. With running anyway. On bikes, I'm the best. Did you know? I've got a mountain bike. It has silver painter splatters and tires have these big treads. It's so fast. You'd be amazed. But besides, we can't both go. Tamarack and Cassie are here. Do you want to stay with them by yourself while I go get him? Darren's eyes closed and he grimaced. If he was looking, he wouldn't have been able to stop himself from glancing at you and Tamarack. You could tell since that's where his non-seeing face turned. And he didn't want to do that either. He couldn't even handle seeing you two both too closely. Staying alone with you and Tamarack didn't seem achievable for Darren. Chiu knew it. I'll go. He placed the earmuffs back on his head as he was donning armor for a battle, resigned but resolute. Cool, see you. Yeah, bye. Bye. As Darren sprinted through the door, you doubted he'd be following the no running in the hall rule. Mrs. Murray was still reading over her teacher stuff, so she didn't put a stop to it, but Darren should have followed them even if no one was watching. Tamarack's focus was set on the action. When that was over and even Darren's bright white vest couldn't be seen, she snapped her gaze back to Chiu. She was eager, ready to learn more about the boy whose name hadn't even been said yet. In school, in friends, and everything, Tamarack wanted answers. Yeah, you were excited, another kid, maybe you'd be friends. Chiu began to tell you about his friend, even though no one asked anything about him. Your and Tamarack faces have been enough for Chiu to get it going, to get Chiu going on it. This kid you're gonna meet isn't like other kids. He's mature. Mature rolled off of Chiu's tongue slowly, importantly, with a fake accent. Mature. You didn't know what kind. But when he thought a little longer, Chiu must more quickly added some more details. And, not mature actually, about some stuff. Not everyone likes him, but I do, and you might too. We will, of course we will. Oh, guess what? He doesn't go to our school or Darren's school. He goes to a totally different school, one that costs money because it's for rich people. Those are actually real. You figured out what accent Chiu had been doing. A wealthy person's accent, like from those movies with millionaires. What? Really? Does he have to wear a uniform? No, but they have a strict dress code. He's got to wear button-collared shirts and stuff. Well, he loves those, so... Ew! Neither Chiu or Tamarack were sure what to say next. You were the same. The three of you glanced from one face to the other, expressions flitted between encouraging smiles and curious peering, until eventually the doors flung open. Darren hadn't stopped to check if it was okay that time. He had a job to do, and it had been a job well done. Darren wasn't alone. Baby Baxter! Oh. Their entrance was a funny scene. Behind Darren's striking colors and intense steps was the new boy. The stranger came along unconcerned, dressed in muted tones. Look, there's actually color. His hair color almost could have been called black, though dark gray was probably more right. He had black pants that didn't match perfectly with the shade on his head. There was something about him that made a strong impression. This little... He's just so adorable. Tamarack, Chiu, and Darren too had lots of energy that radiated out all around them. This boy didn't have the spirit in his hands or legs or body. His fire was concentrated all in his dark brown eyes. Whatever he looked at came across the total force of his being. It made him unignorable. And that part of him was so noticeable that it actually took you a minute to see it, a birthmark on his neck, and his smile was actually a smirk. You were not disappointed on who Chiu's other friend was. This was more intriguing than you had been imagining. All your thinking was cut off by a shout from Autumn. Along from that, he punched a fist in the air to welcome his returning champion and the found prince. Yeah, you made it! Darren and the boy he had brought had given the impression of opposites when they first came in. What they had in common became clear when they smiled the very same way at the reunion. They both liked the other one of them, and they both liked Chiu. That's all that mattered. Oh, little squad! The two went straight to Chiu's sides, Darren on his left and the other on his right. The formation of the trio was perfectly smooth, all of them already aware of where they stood in the group. So, this is my friend. He's cool as long as you tell him when he's being dumb. And you know what? That's the same when he's older, too. He's 24 years old. He acts the same way. The boy who had been the most collected person you'd seen in town beside your teacher, and Chiu just called him dumb as soon as he got here. It's kind of incredible. But Chiu didn't mean it in a mean way. The new arrival hadn't even blinked when Chiu said it. They were friends, and the insult expressed was just as much as affection as the hug Chiu and Darren had shared earlier. I'm just gonna make sure... I hope everything's working correctly. I'm just gonna check and see and make sure the stream's running okay, because that would suck. Because it happened to me during Stardew Valley, and I've never played it since, because I was so upset about it. Twitch, okay. One second, I'm just gonna keep talking so I can make sure that it's still going. I think we're good. Looks like everything is go. Yes, okay. Hello. It's nice to... Hello, it's nice to meet you. My name is Baxter. Baxter greeted you in Tamara casually. It was effortless for him to say polite words, so they didn't come with a lot of meaning behind them. Darren was 12, and he was tall, taller than all his friends, but you couldn't believe he wasn't that old until Chew said to. He needed to tell you that Baxter was older than you. Now, had told you, more than any kid, Baxter reminded you of teenagers. You thought they were smarter than not only anyone else too. He had that kind of unquestioning confidence. Even the way he stood there looked more grown up than anybody else. That's right. Chew put up his snooty voice again and did a curtsy to show his mock respect for was that he was about to introduce. He is Mr. Baxter Ward, the oldest one out of all of us. You knew it. Meanwhile, Chew dropped the accent because he wasn't talking about Baxter anymore. And this is Miss Cassie Biley and Miss Bellman. We will say, hello, or hi, what's your favorite color? What? Baxter's mouth opened with a question, but he kept it open in confusion. The discussion came out of nowhere as far as he knew. He hadn't been there when the discussion of best colors was going on. He kept on watching us curiously, so he knew you were serious. It wouldn't be fair if Baxter was the only one who missed out. Lucy. Okay, she's being weird. He closed his mouth. It fit into the shape his lips always made when they weren't open. It was almost like he couldn't form expressions other than curved smiles. My favorites are black and white. Chew, and way more surprisingly, Darren started snickering. What'd be so funny about that? Hey, want to know why the secret why those are his favorite colors? You can't tell someone else's secret. It's not really a secret. How can it be? Well, never mind. I don't have to tell you. Chew gave it up pretty easily. When you glanced at Baxter to see if any feelings over Chew's plan to share stuff about him, he was grinning fearlessly. Baxter Ward wouldn't have been flustered even if Chew had done it. That's what the smile said. And also, Cassie, those are nice birthmarks. You're lucky to have them. Oh, that's very sweet. It's very thoughtful and considerate in the way he talks to people. It's very specific and cute. Throughout all of his little lives and stuff. He's just, it's so, God, that's such a, I think it's really cool that, yes, obviously, like, it's fun for people who have played, the first Our Life game to be like, oh my God, Baxter, but it's also really fun to, like, see, because that's really the core of the game, is seeing these kids in their different life stages and stuff. So getting to see, because we saw, both Cove and Derek in their life stage, we get sort of a peek into what Mr. Baxter Ward was when he was a little baby boy. And it's cute. Just seeing the little similarities and the differences, and yeah, I don't know, it's cute. It's very heartwarming and just kind of, it's the core of the game, right? Of how do we change? How does our childhood affect us? And yeah, I don't know, it's sweet. You thought no one had more random compliments to Tamarack, Baxter might change your mind. I think, thanks. I like yours too. Baxter's lazy stance perked up across the line of his shoulder. They were straight instead of slack, and he dipped his head in acceptance of the praise. Thank you. For a second, you admired that little spot on his neck as he appreciated the ones on yours in a mutual show of birthmark owner respect. Hi. Tamarack's snoring bubbliness popped after she said hello. Are you actually rich? She said it doubtfully, with her hands on her hips and her face tilted intently. It added more to her wondering than what she actually said. Why would a rich person be doing there? Shouldn't he be doing something else? Something kids like you and her weren't doing? He tried to imagine what the other thing might be. Maybe sitting at the head of a table longer than this whole room, or dancing in a shining ballroom wider than your house. Darren's face twisted in the center and tightened around the edges. He wanted to laugh, and he wanted to stop himself from doing just that. Unlike her questions about colors, this one Baxter expected. Yes. Baxter said he was a rich kid as plainly as if you had asked if it was Monday or if he had a hat on his head. He can prove it, too. Baxter lives at a huge mountain high on the mansion right in the mountains. He does? He does. Also, look at... Yes, they're very cute little birthmarks. Suddenly, the table and ballroom over your fantasy felt a little bit more real. Having a huge mansion come up without him needing to say anything so curved, Baxter's smile... Without him needing to say so, curved Baxter's smile more than already was. He didn't have to brag. His house spoke for himself. Or rather, the house got Autumn to speak for it, and that was the best brag of them all. If I like the two of you, maybe you'll get to visit. If I like you? Chiu's words had shot up in pitch and rang with humor. He threw his hands out in disbelief and had to be careful not to hit one of the multiple people hanging around him. Baxter, you'll show it to anyone who'll come by. Chiu knocked Baxter's arm with his elbow, but that was on purpose. A friendly nudge to go along with the rest of his light-hearted jabbing. His smile beaming at Baxter, his eyes danced over towards you and Tamara. Chiu declared in his stuffiest voice in reply to Chiu was a more accurate picture. Please come by, come see my big cool house. Why would I even have it if no one was going to see it and think it's big and cool? That's him. Autumn needed a pause to steady himself before he finished what he was talking about. But it is a really cool house. I would show it off if it was mine. Chiu had to be honest about his friends and himself, when it was flattering and when it wasn't, and it ended his show generously. Baxter said nothing, and he didn't laugh. He just glided a knuckle across the edge of his swoopy bangs. That's that when he's older, too. Strands curved the motion, then slipped right back into their normal resting spots. That's what I'm talking about, right? It's like, oh, it's adorable. You know, seeing their little habits and stuff, things I associate with them. And then little baby Baxter's doing that. It's very cute. It's like seeing childhood photos of your friends where it's like, it looks like them, but they're like a little squishy baby, and it's very cute. His smirk didn't drop out of place either. With so much not being different, it was easy to tell his cheeks were turning pinker. Chiu had sort of made fun of Baxter, even if it was a joke. If Baxter was going to blush, you thought he would have been embarrassed because of the teasing. But no matter how you looked at it, nothing about the older kid's expression was shy or uncomfortable. He was as calm as ever, maybe even a little happier than before it happened. Because he's crushing on Chiu. Anyway, Baxter's introduction was over. Chiu had decided it. Now that everyone is here, I have something very important to say. Though he said everybody, Chiu's intention was squarely on you and Tamara. There was a pause for dramatic effect as Chiu smiled knowingly. Cassie and Tamarack, I hereby invite you to join our club. What? Darren shouted out like Chiu just announced he was getting married next week at 10 years old. Not so loud, please. The gentle scolding was way more startling than Darren's yelp. You'd forgotten Mrs. Murray was still at her desk. This is so real. This is exactly what it's like after school. She was so quiet and so much like a teacher, she fit as naturally in the classroom as a whiteboard or the globe. Things that were there and should be there, but you didn't think about it. While you got a reminder, Baxter had never even known. Oh, hello, Mrs. Murray. Nice to see you, Baxter. Darren unzipped his lips. He had to settle for silently pinching his brows and pouting. Chiu was definitely the leader of the pack, wasn't going to let his word and decision be questioned. He folded his arms in disapproval. First his mom, then his friend. Darren was not having the best moment. Autumn couldn't stay firm for long, though. Instead, he thought of his club and smiled. Me, Baxter, and Darren are a group. We go all around having fun. We're practically famous in town. Yeah, me, you, and Baxter do. Quietly, firmly, not yelling. Darren pointed out the members again as if it meant something. Those are girls. Yeah, I am. Sometimes Cassie is. That didn't make Darren look any happier. Darren's glance flicked over to you and then Tamarack for a single second. So it did mean something to him. After his whole time with Darren acting so weird with you and Tamarack, you heard why. He was a boy who didn't play with girls. You have a big storm coming later, buddy. For those of you who are not familiar with the game at all, Darren will eventually come out as a trans girl. I believe she goes by Renee in, oh god, don't quote me on that. In step 3, when we're around like 18 years old. So this is very funny. For irony reasons. Alright. It's a boys club, girl. Darren gestured around the semicircle of kids to bring attention to the boyness of the collection. How can we be a boys club if we're not all boys? Helps. We love this setup for the joke over several steps. He whined in a whisper. Even if you and Tamarack and Baxter were right there, Darren was trying to keep the conversation between him and Chiu alone. Unfortunately, it was Autumn he was talking to, and Chiu made extra efforts to include the two of you. He greatly giggled at the problem he had been presented. Darren, your mom's a teacher, and guess what? Chiu gave him a little look over his shoulder towards his possible new group mates. His dad? He's also a teacher at a different school. With a slow shake of his head, Chiu smugly chided his friends. And you don't even know problem solving. Listen, okay, so I'm a boy and it's my club. That means it's a boys' club. What's the issue with that? He didn't get an answer, though Chiu didn't expect to. And Darren could only gawk as if he had witnessed a magic trick. Chiu had taken a black card from Darren into his fingerless gloves hands, and when he revealed it again, it had transformed into a red king. You wonder if Chiu was a sorcerer all along, and he only said you were one to cover for himself. He got away with words and with people. You and Tamarack being new there wasn't what gave Chiu an advantage. He was like that no matter what. Baxter chuckled, a pleased audience member of the event, and then he shrugged with his hands in his pockets. I don't mind if they tag along, as long as they can keep up. Great. Baxter's agreement was given directly, and Chiu took Darren's acceptance of his idea as a sure thing, even though he hadn't gotten there yet. He expected you and Tamarack to see it too and put the choice in your hands. That was the only question. So, what do you think? No thanks. I don't want to. For all Chiu's feat of conversation wizardry, it was equally amazing how simply Tamarack could defeat them simply by not taking interest in saying so. That was actually the second time Chiu invited her to play with him and his friends. Yesterday she had said maybe, today she said no. Darren suddenly frowned more. He never wanted her, but it was offended she didn't want him too. Baxter only smirked harder. He already had friends. Being turned away by a stranger didn't make a difference. Chiu was disappointed, not by Tamarack not considering it, and by his friends' unwelcoming attitudes. No one seemed to care like he cared, even when he tried his best to get everyone to get along. His expression was unhappy enough for Tamarack to realize with shock the impact she had. Thanks for inviting me. I like you, Chiu. I'm not sure I like those other kids. Two bewildered snorts and one laugh followed the odd attempt at comfort. Baxter was the one who laughed. That's hilarious. Those other two. I don't know. I think that... I don't know. He's gonna be in the club or not. I mean, I think that they would. I think that they would say, we should both join the club. Please, Tamarack? Thanks, Cassie. That was all it took to begin turning things around. Chiu's smile grew as Baxter shrunk to a friendlier size. Even Tamarack seemed to second-guess her answer now that you were going to be in the fold. That's one new member. It's alright if you don't want to join Tamarack, but you'll probably regret it for the rest of your life if you don't. It's the coolest club there is. And Cassie, Tamarack, don't listen, Darren. I'm sorry he said that about you being girls in the group and that being bad. Darren's gaze fell guiltily and he didn't finish whatever he was going to say. He may not have wanted you and Tamarack to join, but Chiu did. Being the reason it didn't work out was an unintended betrayal of his friendship. Darren does not know how to talk to girls or how to act around them. I think the only ladies he can say 10 words to are his mom and Tamarack's granny. Chiu! Autumn tossed his hands up in the air completely unapologetically. He thought of the phrase you had heard your ma use before, don't shoot the messenger. I don't know, that's just what I noticed, but it doesn't matter anyway. You can't live your life like this. You're a big kid, Darren. What if Tamarack and Cassie look up to you because you're so much older and wiser, and you're not even able to say hi to them? I said hi, didn't I? You said hi to Cassie, not to Tamarack. She greeted you. But she was too close, I know. How about you say hello right now? It's not too late. Yeah. Tamarack instantly was in for that idea. She glanced upward into Darren's eyes, grinning expectantly and swishing her shoulders side to side. Say hi. It was hard to tell if she didn't realize she was giving Darren a hard time, that it was more to him than a normal hello, or that was the whole plan. But either way, Darren could do nothing except stare hard at Tamarack's smooth jig. Chiu, this is embarrassing. Yeah, it is. For you. You can't treat girls like that just because they're girls. Darren groaned through clenched teeth. Chiu, Darren, and Tamarack, not one of them was budging, till a low voice came from the area around Darren. It wasn't actually him, it was behind him. Hello, I think your scarf is so nice, Tamarack. Hello, Cassie, you have such great shoes. What? Darren couldn't stay quiet long. His mom had given up on reminding him. I hope you like my earmuffs too. Darren spun around in a flurry, but the perpetrator hardly breezed back to Chiu's other side. Baxter stood there, self-satisfied and silent like he had been the whole conversation. He may not have seen it with his own eyes, but Darren knew it was Baxter. He had a pretty distinct voice, and it wasn't as if anyone else could have done it. It was a pleasing answer to Tamarack's ears, no matter who said it. She giggled, she toyed with her nice scarf. You really think that? The real Darren turned away, uncomfortable, with a face pinker than the accessory in question. We will say... yeah, I'm impressed, Darren. You're a ventriloquist. That broke Baxter's statue act, and he snorted a laugh. You guys, Chiu had lost hold of the situation. He viewed it from the outside, the same as he might have done while watching toddlers tumble around the playground. You know, I just don't invite anybody to the group. That reminder is meant for Darren. He sent an explanation you're in Tamarack's way next. Before, it was me and Darren since we were babies, and then a couple years ago there was Baxter. There's only been the three of us since then until right now. Yeah, it has been. So why do they have to be part of the club? It's good you asked. Cassie broke into my backyard accidentally because she was on a crazy investigation about a paper airplane. And they got here a day ago, and they're already looking out for me. Normally I'm the one doing that. And Tamarack was the one who made a paper airplane for a stranger because it would be fun. What's not to like about that? Lastly, the three of us are all neighbors. That's gotta count for something. Even if it doesn't, what were you thinking we'd do? Run away from them when me, you, and Baxter are in the cul-de-sac? Try and make Tamarack and Cassie leave their own street? No, we should be friends and hang out together. It makes no sense not to let them join the club. Chio's debate speed roused Tamarack. Her fists were clenched and her expression was full of vigor. But you were sure she wasn't inspired to join Chio's club. It strengthened your bond as neighbors and only made her flimsy comment to Darren and Baxter more obvious. Darren wordlessly put extra space between him and the shaking girl. Baxter only smiled at Chio, supporting his friend while being totally indifferent to the results of the effort. When it came to yourself, Chio's description of why you thought you should be a member, I think, got a thumbs up. You know how to make someone sound special. Chio got the sense of his audience's mixed reactions. Instead of a full house roaring with applause, it seemed like a mostly empty theater with only one person clapping in the back row. He worked with it. Well, they haven't been here long, but I know them better than you guys know them, and the same goes for Cassie and Tamarack. They know me better than either of you. It's different for me. I like all four of you. Tamarack can join later. You don't have to be an official member to do stuff with us. I'm just letting you know what's up. A lot of things bothered Darren, and he showed it. Baxter so far took everything like it was nothing. Chio went up and he went down, but he always tried to get things up by the end. That was the boys' club. Chio was still Chio, and I think that Cassie, just doesn't understand Darren, or I mean, maybe it's interesting. I think that Cassie's very positive and sweet, so we're going to, try and be nice. That Darren kid was okay. Also, I think Baxter seems, I think that she would think that he's funny because of the little joke with that. So yeah, Baxter's great. And now you were mostly part of the club. Chio wanted to be, you wanted to be, and that was the main deciding factor. The tap-tap sound marked the end of the meeting. It made you think of a hammer hitting the podium in a very important official gatherings. But it was actually Mrs. Murray as she straightened her papers against her desk. Your teacher placing down a neat pile as she rose to her feet. It's time to go, everyone. I'm leaving and I can't let you stay here alone. Am I giving anyone here a ride? Her gaze was squarely on Chio and Baxter with that question. Or would you like me to call your families? It was you and Tamarack who got a look with that one. The first kid ready with an answer was Tamarack. She yelled out with no hesitation. I'm okay. Following after Tamarack, though definitely not talking to her, piped Darren. He and his friends had plans, but he sheepishly looked to his mom for permission to go through with it. Chio and Baxter can come with us, can't they? Right off, she nodded, and her son smiled, relaxed. Mrs. Murray held up one finger and added a note before anyone got ahead of themselves. They can't stay all night. I'll need to take both of them home before dinner. All right. Thank you for letting us visit. Yeah, thanks. What about you, Cassie? I think that, you smiled, showing you were alright. Your teacher grinned too. Cassie, come to my house. Tamarack pumped her arms. He's adorable. Tamarack pumped her arms like the dark blue comfort was water underfoot and she needed to row through the indoor pond. We can walk back together. On your own? No, together. You can meet Omi and Oppa when we get there. That would be so cool. Yeah. Alright. Well, how about we finish packing now? On it. At your teacher's session, gathering outdoor clothes and checking inside and under desks and looking through bags to see if the most important possessions were still there was all done. Not a single glove would be missing or one pencil out of place if Mrs. Murray could help it. During a final sweep of the room, there was an eager knock at the door. Who's this? Mrs. Murray took long strides, reaching the door far sooner than any of the students could. When it was open, you saw your mom framed by dozens of colored paper leaves taped around the frame. It was great. She could see your new teacher in class and everything. Hi, I'm going to assume you were Mrs. Murray? Yes, but Shannon's fine. And are you Mrs. Bylily? Right as well. I'm Opal. Cassie's my child. It's a pleasure to meet you. Thank you for coming up to pick Cassie. You stopped listening on their conversations. The two grown-ups chatted about each other and a little of you. Darren wasn't as polite. He sighed at the continuation of their adult greeting. Maybe he thought that was boring stuff. Chio snickered softly while giving Darren a small shove in his shoulder. It brought some of the liveliness back and got Darren to smile. Mom noticed the cluster of kids then. Her eyes fell on you and a conversation with the teacher stopped. Cassie, I made it. And hello again, Chio. Hi, Ma. Hi. She strolled further into the room to join you. Mrs. Murray stayed by the door. Who was the rest of this fun bunch? Ma asked wonderingly, glanced across the faces of the other three kids there. Class was long older, and you were too closely gathered for it to be random people who happened to be in the same place. Why it all come together was of great interest for your ma. Two of those people was two friends, one was your seatmate and your neighbor and your friend. It was her, as usual, who first shot out her reply. Tamarack never took long to think about what she'd say, and that's why she was always so far of everyone with words. You're Cassie's ma? Wow, you look like her, ma. Thank you, thank you. Some bits of me did end up in there. You said taller, proud to be like your ma. A playful smile tugged at your ma's mouth. Tamarack felt inspired to have more curiosity satisfied. Does your dad look the same too? Cassie's like him, in certain ways. Her smile dropped, but Ma had a reply for that question ready before you had even fully heard it. But our family is me and her. It always has been. He won't come by to visit. She was telling Tamarack the truth, and Tamarack wasn't going to see him. You hadn't even met him. You'd only been told stuff about him. When you were younger, Ma said what his race and nationality were, and hers too, so that way you could know your own history. Yeah. So, here we go. We can add in our own little, race here. And Cassie is Indigenous. Bilily is Indigenous name that I got off the little website to make sure, authentic. And there is I have it written down somewhere for that, but it's the group that is one of the groups that is in Arizona, because I want them to be from Arizona. Let me research it. I don't know enough about like America to say specifically. I know more like in Canada everything. Oh, Navajo. There we go. I was pretty sure, but yeah, making for there. So yeah, and I think that name specifically comes from the Navajo tribe. Okay. Yes, making sure I got everything correctly. Okay, cool. So, and there we go. We'll put Navajo. Right, so spelling. Yes. All right, fantastic. Confirm. It's a really fun feature. Oh, that's really sweet, actually. Because, I think it's fun to be able to have different nationalities and different, like, cultures and stuff represented without having to have, like, a massive list for all the coding and stuff. So you can just, like, implement it yourself. Very sweet. At the same time, your mom explained how having you in the first place worked. She didn't have a husband or boyfriend or anything, but she wanted to have a kid, so she had you. Mom talked about how you didn't need an entire other person to have a baby. It only took a small part, and she was able to go get that from a hospital. It was kind of confusing, but you were able to understand that whoever your dad was, he wasn't your parent. He was a guy Mom didn't know, and you didn't know. I think that you liked that it was just the two of you. Someone else would have just gone in the way of everything. Your mom was already the best. Oh, okay, sorry. Frowning, Tamarack pinched and pulled at the frayed edge of her sweater sleeve. One finger slipped through a tiny hole in the cuff. It was going to rip even more doing that. That might have been why it was torn in the first place. It's fine. You didn't know. Now you do. There was a lot of not knowing for her and you, but you did recognize the tone your mom was using on Tamarack. A low voice with extra emphasis bent on the words. It meant, I'm not mad this time, because it won't happen again. Isn't that right? Tamarack gave a tiny nod, stretching the striped sleeve all the way past the tips of her fingers of her free hand. The conversation had been dominated by Tamarack, but you were still hanging around with the boys' club. They could hear everything said about your family. You tried to figure out their reaction. Chiu was still, besides shifting a narrowed gaze between the friend on his left and the friend on his right. Suddenly, he seemed like the teacher of the classroom, keeping a stern eye on the students for any sign of trouble. The two of them were on their best behavior, quiet and blank face. When Chiu realized you were watching, he became regular old Autumn again, grinning widely. Well, it's good to meet you, Tamarack. That dropped Tamarack's jaw. She was certain she hadn't said her name yet. You knew me? Not for sure, but I thought you looked like you'd be our neighbor, Tamarack. Now bashful, Tamarack hid her face with her hands. The sweater was finally released from her squeezing grip. While she wasn't looking, Ma gave you a sneaky wink. You told her enough about yesterday for her to figure it out. What about everyone else? The question was kind of forced. There was still an awkward feeling left behind after Tamarack bringing up your dad you had never met. But it was still something they were going to figure out sooner or later, so after all, it was kind of good it got settled with everyone at once. And Baxter took the initiative, properly introducing himself. My name is Baxter. I don't go to the school. I attend Jared Witt Academy. You do? That's quite impressive. Thank you. You're starting to think he couldn't feel uncomfortable even if he wanted to. He was a cool cucumber so much he got stuck that way. Like if you were making a weird face for too long. Except you were pretty sure adults were lying when they said that could happen. He got the conversation changed though. Your mom was more at ease and gave a purposeful look at the only kid who hadn't spoken up yet. And you are? I'm Darren. That's my mom. Darren couldn't meet her eyes. Instead, he stared at her shoes and lifted an arm towards the door. Mrs. Murray was leaning against the wall there. Her arms were patiently folded. Ma shifted her gaze between the group of students and the teacher with a big smile. As Ma, she liked seeing other parents with their kids. It was fun for her, you guessed. It's nice to meet you too, Darren. His cheeks puffed out all frog-like. It was fast and unexpected, Ma laughed. She usually did not like laughing at other people's kids, or other adults, not unless they were telling a joke. She laughed at everyone's jokes, even the ones that weren't funny. Your mom pressed the palm against her cheek and breathed in through her nose to steady herself. You've barely been here 2 days, and I almost need a full hand to count all the acquaintances you have. You work fast. She tilted ahead, a grin your way, raising one brow higher. Are you ready to go? Mom, me and Tamarack were wondering if she could come with us. Certainly, I'd be happy to bring her back. Ma stayed put despite that agreement. She was unsure not about you or Tamarack, but the 3 other kids who were left. That was when Mrs. Murray got off her perch and came to stand by her son. I'm driving Darren, Chew, and Baxter back to my house. I'll call the boys' parents to let them know. It seems you've all arranged everything. You've got your bags all ready too. We should really be going then. Have a good day, boys. With a parting smile and gesture of her hand to follow, Ma turned and walked away. Alright, we will say, see you everybody. Chew and Baxter said bye as the 3 of you were leaving a wave too. Darren only looked up, look at the big group of girls. Bye Chew, bye Darren, bye Baxter, bye teacher. She shouted over her shoulder while sticking close to you and Ma. And after that yell, Tamarack whispered just to you. Sorry again. Oh, it's okay. You don't have to feel bad. Ma held the door open for you and Tamarack to trot by. Then she followed you out. Your first day of school was over. She took the exact same path out you had come in, just going the opposite way. Down the stairs, through the checkered hall, and out the double doors at the front. But when you were outside, the way home had changed. You had to go through the almost empty parking lot at the side of the school building. Ma had brought the car to come get you. Wispy clouds hung over your group of 3. No one else was out. They had already gone home or were probably teachers who were still in the classroom. Tamarack ran freely across the tarmac. It was easy to figure out which car to go to when no one else was parked anywhere close by. You and Ma strolled side by side until you rejoined Tamarack by the vehicle. When she unlocked it, Ma opened the backside door. You were too little to sit up front, according to her. That meant Tamarack would be too small too. You were way taller than her. But you found out Tamarack didn't want to sit there. She liked the middle. It was funny how round and weird it was. She also liked being able to see up front easily. When you were both buckled in, Ma got into the driver's seat. Tamarack told you how she'd poke her homie and Opa from the spot all the time. Even though neither of them were in the car, she was happy to choose the middle anyway. I think that you never wanted the middle, so it was good she'd take it. After Ma double-checked that everyone had their seatbelts on, she pulled out of the school parking lot. You jiggled in the firm cushions because of the vibration of the car. The seatbelt wasn't just good for crashes, it could also stop you from slipping out of your seat on the bumpy roads. It was quiet beside the humming sound that also came from the way the car moved. The world looked different from the backseat of the car. A blur of golds, browns, and reds flitted out of the corner of your eye. From what you could see ahead, there was an endless stream of blue coming at you. Then it all slowed down. You would see the individual trees and each one of their branches and the leaves that hadn't fallen, and the sky seemed more solid. Your neighborhood was already in reach. It had been a whole journey in the morning, walking with Chew and Tamarack. That trip only took a few minutes driving with Ma and Tamarack again. Ma parked right at the end of the road in front of your house. There wasn't a garage to use, and it didn't really matter if you parked in the street. You couldn't block the path if it didn't go anywhere. You, her, and Tamarack got up and stood together on the sidewalk. Thanks for driving, Cassie's Ma. You can come to my house now. A lot had happened since she had talked about that in the classroom. Still, Tamarack hadn't forgotten the plan she made. A visit to the Bowman household? Am I invited too? That's right. Your Ma hadn't been there when Tamarack had come up with what do you do after school. It was funny seeing Ma ask permission to go over to someone's place. She was the person who was supposed to decide if it was okay to do something or not, but your Ma was nice. Yeah. Thank you. I had been hoping to meet the rest of her neighbors, but I waited for Cassie to be here before making the rounds. Lead the way, Tamarack. Tamarack would have tried to do that even if Ma didn't ask her to. The now leader spun around to change direction and marched down the sidewalk towards the big gray house next to yours. There was no way you'd get left behind. You stuck right by her while your Ma went along after both of you. As Tamarack got closer, her pace got faster. A steady strut had turned into a speedy skip by the time she'd reached the front porch. She was eager to get home, and she wanted to make sure she arrived there first. Tamarack smacked the doorbell and held it all the way down with her whole hand. It wasn't the type of doorbell you had to press over and over to get it to work, as long as she pushed in the deep chime rung through the walls. Ding dong, and so on. Tamara squeezed the doorbell in her tiny hand. It wasn't going to stop. Your mom acted like the parent she was and spoke down to the other kid here in a reassuring voice. I think it's okay. You can let go. Ma understood appropriate behavior in the grown-up world better than any elementary school world, and that wasn't it. But all this suggestion got was the same knowing assurance right back. No, it's okay. What if Omi's asleep? We'd be trapped outside forever. Tamarack was an adult, but it was her house. She knew the rules. And for all you knew, she might have gone to make up the rules herself. She was so amazing. Maybe, but while your mom softly tried to urge Tamarack to freeze the crush button, the bell kept going and the door opened. Your nose realized it had happened before your eyes could. It had gotten blasted with a perfumey smell so fast, like a human-sized spray of air freshener went off. The person who answered the nonstop call of the bell was a lady with long, pale blonde hair going all the way down her back. Her nose was tiny. That's how she must have lived with all the smelliness. She was smiling gently. Just every part of her looked flowy and delicate. One thing was different, her necklace. That was big and gold and seemed like it'd be pretty heavy. Maybe she needed an anchor to stop herself from blowing away in the wind. I'm here. Welcome back, young lady. Mine, you've brought guests. Hello. Tamarack finally slipped her hand off the button. She needed to wave. Hi, Omi. Hello, good to meet you. I'm Opal Lily. This is my child, Cassie. The two of us recently moved in. We only arrived yesterday. Ah! Her voice, which was another fragile thing about her, strained in high-pitched excitement. I thought that was you. I heard you were coming after all. That's why I swept up the porch and left the welcome mat. Oh, that was you? I appreciate the gesture. Yes, my little way of greeting the newcomers to our quiet street. You'd known the mat was out of place in front of the Warren house. Another mystery was solved. This time the culprit was Tamarack's family member rather than Tamarack herself. Mrs. Bauman chattered on like leaving people unexpected stuff was nothing abnormal. My name is Dorothea. Tamarack is my only granddaughter. Her father is my only son. And I do have a husband, Ernst. He's still alive, but I ought to introduce him to you myself. Lord knows he won't do it on his own. She pressed the top of her head to her forehead, craning back. The dangles on her necklace clinked against each other. Mrs. Bowman acted very tired. It was probably an act. You had to think so, since she sounded so amused. It was like having a hard time to. It was like having a hard time was how she had a good time. If you ever see a cross-eyed old man wandering about, that's him. Don't you worry, he's not mean, even if he looks it. Just remember that Mr. Bowman is more afraid of you than you are of him. It's good to meet both of you, Opal and Cassie. The last part of her introduction wasn't for you and Mom. It was just towards you. You can call me Granny. Okay. We will do. Nice to meet you, Granny. She smiled at you, wide and welcoming. Meeting you meant getting a new grandchild. Hi, Omi. Tamara cut into the conversation with a sharp grin, her brow tight. She flapped one of her two long sleeves to draw even more attention. Cassie's my best friend. Oh. The announcement caught everyone by surprise, including you, the person it was about. Miss Bauman's eyes got way bigger than you thought they could with how they looked normally. I didn't know that. When did you make a best friend? Yesterday. She said so, chuckling like her granny was so silly to not be able to figure that out. Tamarack really thought you were her best friend? Oh, that's so sweet. Tamarack was so nice. You didn't even know what to do, though you did notice the way your mom was watching the matching happy expressions on you and Tamarack's faces. Mrs. Bauman was the sooth to her granddaughter and her best friend. Oh, please, come inside, I insist. We need to get acquainted. No one ever insisted you see their house before, unless what Tamarack said at school counted. You guess that's why Tamarack was so confident about saying you could come over and why she told you to do instead of asking. Her granny had the same attitude about people visiting. That would be lovely. Mrs. Bauman went deeper into the house, footsteps already echoing the closed-off space, and Tamarack bounded after her. Let's go, Cassie. You and Ma were following behind Tamarack again. This time it was Grandma who got to lead everyone. Ma shut the door after herself. The outside cold wasn't invited. And we're actually going to leave it there for today. We're at the rounds, not quite at the hour mark yet, but I feel good about leaving it there. Thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, this is very fun to play through. But yeah, you can find the free demo on Itch, and you can go and support their Kickstarter. And yeah. You can also find the previous streams up on my Twitch or as VODs up on YouTube. But yes, again, thank you so much, and I will see you soon, hopefully. All right, goodbye. Have a good day.